You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. All right, thanks for joining us for episode 1 of Cards to the Moon, brand new podcast by 5 Card Guys. And my name is Clark, and I'm joined with my co-hosts Hyung and John. We're pretty excited to do this podcast, just to talk about sports cards. We do that anyways. So before we get into it, maybe we should just introduce ourselves. So yeah, you might know me best from the guy who is running 5 Card Guys, and we probably started returning to the hobby 2-3 years ago, like a lot of people did, and it's been a wild ride. Like just seeing the insane growth of the hobby, it's been a lot of fun. And now we're here just doing a podcast, just talking about sports cards and where it's going. So at that, I'll turn it over to Hyung. You want to introduce yourself?
What's going on, guys? My name is Hyung. Same thing with me. I came back into the card game in 2018, I'd say. Grew up in the hobby and just excited to, be a part of this 5 Card Guys team and being able to, just talk sports cards with boys, right? So, nice. I'm very excited about this, and yeah. Awesome.
And Johnny?
What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm like Clark and Hyung. I collected. We're all old heads that collected back in the day. I got back into the hobby right around February of 2020. Found my Kobe cards that I collected in high school, and then just started looking on eBay. Like was interested, and then realized, oh man, cards are getting pretty crazy, and that's kind of how it all started. So, pretty excited to start this up. Pretty excited to get into it.
Great, yeah, pretty excited, and lots to talk about in the hobby. I mean, a lot has been going on lately, and this being our inaugural episode, we'll introduce a lot of different segments, but the one we want to always do is something called Hobby Headlines. Whatever's current, whatever's recent news or any issues that are happening in the hobby right now that we want to take a deeper dive into. So the first is, if you're following the hobby, you know that the market seems to be super soft these days. And I don't know if this is just a bad time to even start a podcast, but yeah, with the market being what it is right now, I want to ask you guys, do you think it's the beginning of an implosion or just a strong market correction, or maybe something in between? What do you guys think?
Well, the true heads, you hold through kind of like the ups and downs, but we got to understand, there was a lot of hype coming into that card market. To me, it's just a correction, right? Like at the end of the day, supply and demand is gonna, determine true value, right? So, I think we see record sales every day on higher end stuff. So, the question is it, maybe not so much, numbered cards versus base cards, right? Because there's so many different factors that play into it with breakers, the amount of breakers there are. Right. How much retail boxes cost, how many people are ripping, the status of PSA and so forth, right? So the list goes on, but I believe, it's just a slight correction, and it's Black Friday, right? It's time to buy right now. So when prices are cheap. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay. We'll get into some of those issues that you pointed out, why you think it's a market correction, but how about you, Johnny? Your thoughts?
Yeah, watching a whole bunch of the YouTube guys, the influencers in the game, a lot of people are talking about a correction. I firmly believe it's a correction as well. There's so many people that got back into this hobby. There's investors that got into it. There's guys like the 3 of us sitting here, collected when we were kids, falling back into the nostalgia. And I don't see, I don't know about you guys, but everyone that I've talked to, everyone that I've engaged with, I haven't seen anybody leave the hobby. I feel like a lot of people poured their money into it and they're a bit over leveraged.
Right.
So we kind of have the, card rich, cash poor situation. If everybody had the cash right now, we had the flow, I'm sure everybody would be buying, and I'm sure the market would rebound. But everybody's a bit cash poor, and everybody's sort of in a holding pattern, and that's what I believe. So from what I've noticed in a holding pattern, I mean, that speaks correction to me. So
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, no, you know what? I think we're all on the same page here, but just for the sake of argument, I know like a lot of new collectors are pretty much panicking, and I don't know if there's anything we can say to alleviate their fears, but
Well, my thing is, at the end of the day, it's supply and demand, right? So when you and I think defining like investing versus trading, for instance, is important. I think a lot of people go into this thinking they're investing in cards, and they want to, I guess, paper hand and sell, right? Because it was like, think, if you're investing in something, you're saying, okay, something like Fernando Tatis, I truly believe in his ability, 5-10 years down the road, I'm going to hold on to this card. That's why you originally kind of got into the investing mode. But then all of a sudden you see every day's price and, the fantasy logic used in sports cards, right? And then people get excited and they're like, oh my God, should I sell? And then they don't sell. And then there's a market correction. And then, people are like, oh man, I should have sold when their original, plan was to hold 5 years, 10 years anyways, right? So it's, I think there's such a gray area with trading and investing that people don't know the difference. And I think that's what's also causing fluctuation in pricing, right? So at the end of the day, my thing was, well, were you planning to sell that, Fernando Tatis in the first place, and in 3 months you had it, right? So for me, it's like, look at prices over year. I guarantee you, if you look at like Trout updates year after year, right? I'll tell you, it's bullish, right? I tell you, there won't be 1 year that, it didn't drop. Now it might start doing it, but at the end of the day, that's the way I see it, is like the reassurance. It's like, remember, if you truly believe in the investment portion of cards, remember, our exit strategy was never a day, month, or even a year, right? They were years. So yeah, investing versus trading is my thing.
Yeah.
do you think parts of the hobby though is susceptible to implosion? Like, there's a part of me that thinks there's a oversupply of certain product, right? Or even base cards, like we were talking about. Maybe that's Luca Prisms, but even like like Topps paper, like modern Topps paper base. People trying to, and we're gonna get into this, but everyone's trying to grade that at PSA, and that's part of the reason why PSA had to shut down, right?
BGS is shut down now too.
I heard.
Announced today.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I mean,
which is ridiculous. Yeah.
Isn't that an indicator of supply just being way too much? And it's going to be obvious once some of these graded cards come in. I think, Johnny, you made that point, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like people who follow Lameme James, he had that one meme where it's the guy sitting in the church and the first dip, the second dip, the third dip, the fourth dip. And for new collectors and people who are new to the game, I mean, when you bought at what you thought was the first dip or the second dip,
right?
We're hitting the third dip, we're hitting the fourth dip, we're hitting the fifth dip. Even though this is market correction, we have no idea. Like, I have no idea if it's going to go to a sixth dip or a seventh dip, and it could. And I think that the whole PSA grading pop reports, that's going to play a big factor. Like, people getting, like, we're going to see waves and waves of bulk submissions coming into people's hands over the next 6 months. There's going to be hundreds and thousands of Luis Robert Chrome 10s and Luis Robert Chrome 9s and Tatis 9s, and tons are coming in. And these people bought cards at $7. They graded at $12. They're in on it for $20. And, the market is trading at $210 and they want to sell it off for $175. They're still making like a 9x profit. They're going to do that, and you're going to see it continue to tumble and tumble because there's going to be like monster supply, right? So I truly believe that the real like base monster dips are going to stop and halt once all of these submissions finally come on and just start coming onto the market. It might not be till like October of this fall where we don't see like a rebound. I don't know. Like, nobody really knows, but
Yeah.
I think those monster submissions coming back, I think that's going to play a big factor.
Yeah, that makes sense to me because I think moving forward too, not a lot of people are going to submit their base. You know, like it's
not worth it.
PSA and PSA
Not
and
worth it,
probably
yeah.
VGS are going to raise their prices, and like you said, it's not going to be worth submitting those anymore.
Yeah, where you getting $12 submission bulk subs?
It's just throwing numbers out there.
That's 5 years ago, man.
Yeah. That was even like 2019. Actually, you could get $10 bulk subs, which is crazy, and then see prices now.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, so I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we're just riding it out. It's a market correction, and
well, we've been through both, right? We've been through the high, and then you go through the low, right? So it's like, at the end of the day, it's where is it going year after year, and is it bearish or bullish, right? And we're still in the bullish market if you look back from, you go year after year, there's a slight pullback, right? Yeah.
For sure. And I think the other side of the equation, right? Like the demand is still so much higher. Like I think we're gonna really see that the demand is so much higher when the Nationals come along in July, August. Like it's gonna be crazy, and I think we just heard that they're gonna go with it this summer. And to be honest, if the market doesn't kind of correct itself after the Nationals, then I might be a little nervous. But I think people are just gonna get right back into it. And the other argument is that, with the cryptocurrency market, with all the NFT craze going on right now, there's an argument that that's kind of taken some of the sports cards.
I believe that a little 100%. Bit. I'm guilty of it too. Like for me, like my attention was in crypto as opposed to cards, right? Where normally I would have dropped, a certain amount of money into cards, right? But for me, I really like Ethereum, right? So for me, it's like it's a battle between cards and Ethereum. It's like sometimes I gotta sell my cards and then put it into crypto, and vice versa, right? If some people do well with crypto and then put it into cards, right? It's just it go hand in hand. But I think that affects people too. Is cash flow, like John was saying, earlier. It's like you run out of cash. It's like what happens after the sixth dip? Like, you have more money? I see those memes too. It's like, I've been out of money since the fifth dip.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% too. Like, for me personally, like I was really into NFTs, like NBA Top Shots and even MLB Topps NFT release. And, you spend money on that. And I can tell you right now, it's already kind of dying down already,
Right.
And I think it's going to be natural for people to come back into cards again. Just look at, especially now that they see the prices have dipped, like a smart investor, I guess, if you are investing in cards, would just take the opportunity now to buy some of the cards you really believe in.
Yeah, I'm with you guys, man. I firmly believe that crypto, the crypto hype, NFTs, I don't have stats in front of me, but I'm pretty sure all three of us can agree and in some confidence that it took away a lot of market cap for sports cards, right? Mm-hmm. Like these are competing products in investors, right? So you can't not say that they didn't. They 100% did. I mean,
there's so many people that like they say that they invest, but then like investing to them means I spend X amount of dollars and then I cash out at a certain time. So I think you have so many people trading that, the true value doesn't show until everything really settles down, right? Because then it'll say, okay, who really wants this card? Right? Who really, how many is out there? Because that's how many people are willing to spend at the end of the day, right? That's what, ends up happening, right? So.
Right.
Yep. So a question for you guys. What do you say to those that like invested heavily in some of these cards that we're definitely probably going to see a market correction? All those, like hold. We have friends. We have friends that have invested in a bunch of PSA 10 Bo Bichettes or Vlads or Louis Robert, and they've been going down steadily over the last month or two, right? So hold.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You only lose if you sell, right? That's the saying. It's like, that's why it's like next year's prices aren't this year's prices. Why look at tomorrow's prices for, the decision when you're not even, your exit strategy was never there in the first place. You didn't buy Bo Bichette for tomorrow's prices, but people get so paper handed. They love that money. They love the profit, right? They love to cash out on it. So yeah, I say hold. You don't lose until you hold. Like Luis Robert's so down. But to me, it's like, you're telling me, did you invest in Luis Robert because of his talent in the first place? I did. I look at a true 5-tool athlete. It's like, those are very, very rare to come by, right? So it's like, you invested in that. You didn't invest that. And maybe some people gave up. They say, oh, he's, getting old, he's out for so many times, he's a flop or whatever. And fine, if they're out and they exit it for that reason, then that's fair. Like, that's with any type of investment. You just don't really believe in that investment anymore, right? So yeah, that's my take on it. It's like, hold the stuff that are losing value, and then really understand and do your homework on population report, right? And understand, true supply and demand. Like, look at comparables from, past, cards like Mookie Betts or Mike Trout and those type of players. That's the type of players like the Acuna, Tatis, and Luis Robert kind of have, and the Vladdies, right? Is they have those types of potentials, right? So if you're looking at a base chrome of top Bo Bichette right now, it's like, hey, maybe in 5 years, I guarantee you're not going to lose on that, as long as you truly believed in Bo Bichette for his his talent in the first place, right?
Yeah, you know what? That's a perfect segue to our next segment, which we're going to call Fast Five. So
nice.
Fast Five is, I'm going to mention 5 players or athletes, and you tell me if you're buying or selling on these guys.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Sound good?
Oh, nice.
All right. So you mentioned this already, Hyung. Louis Robert, Lou Bob. Are you buying or selling? And this is an obvious one because he's injured. He's probably out for the rest of the season, or at least until the playoffs. Prices have already dipped. What are you doing now?
I'm buying. 100% buying. If I could afford it, right? At the end of the day, that's not like my priority to necessarily buy, but I think it's a great buy, is what I'm saying. I personally wouldn't buy Luis Robert because I have so many, and I don't collect. I'll go after the really high end, low pop stuff because those are really down, and I think there's extreme value there. But yeah, I'm a buy. Sorry to keep it long.
No worries.
Yeah.
Johnny, buying too?
I mean, 100%. I'm a buy too. I mean, the entire market is down, right? So if you look at the ratios, like everything is down together. But if you're trying to look at opportunities, you got to see the cards that are down because of the player or whatever. The market for Luis Robert is down.
Yeah.
And then the market overall is down as well. So somebody like Luis Robert is actually taking double hits because he was already down and the market went down, right? So those are the types of opportunities that you kind of want to see, right? So in basketball, you're probably looking at somebody like Jamal Murray, where he was already headed down because of injury, and then the market went down on top of it, right? So for me, Luis Robert is a buy, 100%.
Okay, cool. For me, it's pretty simple. I believe in the talent of Lubab, so I'm holding as well.
Nice.
All right, next guy, Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he's probably one of the most exciting players of MLB this season because of what he's doing on the pitching side and what he's doing on the batting side. We've seen actually he's gone the other way, right? One of the few cards right now that's been going up steadily.
Yes. Yes.
So, is it a good time to buy, or you think it's a good time to sell if you got in early?
I think it's a good time to sell, but I'm buying Ohtani in the offseason, or I'm trying to get his rare stuff because I think you're witnessing a phenomenon, like someone, like just a quick story. It's not to go into too detail, but like I was able to see Ohtani when I coached the junior national team pitch against us, and he was 99, out of high school, and this guy was the first pick overall from the Japanese league after that tournament. The World Championship tournament, and then he goes on to play, a few seasons and dominates that league, and just says, okay, I'm going to come over to MLB and basically do the same thing, and that's what he's doing, and that's why there was such a big hype. And people say that, they don't see kind of like a lot of people are seeing it now is because he's he's putting up the numbers, right? And that's what he was lacking, is like he has to be able to stay healthy and be able to perform. But I think he has such a huge fan base that I think he's a definite buy. But right now, I think his prices are on the higher end. So the base stuff I'm selling, and you know, I'm going into kind of like his higher end stuff. But I still think his higher end stuff is really expensive right now. Like if you look at his Topps Chrome, even Bowman Chrome autos, I think they're like, whoa, what happened here? Like they're like you're paying like $5,000 to $10,000 now for. I think you're selling in that case, right? And then do an off season pickup or something. So yeah, I'm a both, if that makes sense.
All right, before we get to John, I just want to let our listeners know Hyung has a bunch of these stories. You know, he's really connected in the baseball community as a former pro.
Yeah, I'll start releasing some of these stories. I have some crazy stories. Some I can't talk about, obviously, because you know there's probably going to be legal issues. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, we'll tell some stories.
Nice. I mean, like even going back to Shohei, like when you saw him, did you know he's going to be a star?
100%. I mean, he was the number 2 though. There was another guy, Fujiyami, who was their kind of ace, right? So it was like Ohtani was an outfielder too. He was a true two-way player, right? So he was special both ways, and he started against us, and we were down 6-4 in that game, I believe, and then he came out in the 7th, and it was 6-2 at the time, I think, but we ended up hitting a 2-run shot. You know, Jesse Hodges, actually, he's playing tonight against Cuba in the Olympic qualifiers with Team Canada. He was a junior team player back then, but he hit a 2-run shot off the reliever, and that was the opening game of that World Championship that ended up getting us in the crossover, and we ended up winning a silver medal because of that win against Japan and Ohtani, which is crazy. But yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, crazy story, crazy memory. That was back in 2012, so he was 18 at that time. So
that's crazy, man. Shohei. Now everyone knows who he is. So
yeah, he's a stud, man, and I don't think people realize how big this kid is. It's like this guy is not like a typical Asian being. Like I'm telling you, like, and I say that because hey, I played professional baseball. I'm big in the Asian community, but I'm tiny in real life. But Shohei is he is massive. I mean, you see his his wingspan, his strength, his athleticism, his speed.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a fun thing to watch right now. You're seeing something that probably won't be witnessed in baseball again for a very, very long time. I just, sorry to drag this on, but going into the scouting world and everything, it's like you see a lot of baseball players. You don't see a lot of legit two-way players. It's very. Absolutely. Adam Lowen was the other guy. He was an ex-teammate of mine. He made the big leagues as a pitcher, and then he got injured. He made it back as a hitter, and then he got injured, or his arm was feeling good, and he went back as a pitcher and made the big leagues again. So it's like stuff like that. It's like, what? Like you only see that, you don't see that too often, is what I'm saying, at the highest level of baseball, right? So yeah,
super rare.
Buy. Yeah, buy or hold. I like hold.
All right, how about you, Johnny?
Oh man, after that story, for those that are listening, man, people are going out and buying Shohei right now. No, I don't think anybody disagrees when you look at Shohei and the talent. Like he overall, 100%, I think he's a buy. Like this guy is like a generational special talent. Obviously, people might be a little bit concerned about like his health status. He's probably going to have to at least prove like a full season of being healthy before people start to really commit their dollars to him. But long run, he's a buy. But like as of today, I think he's probably a sell. Like his prices are through the roof. During a quote unquote like collapsing market. He's one of the few cards that are just exploding through the roof. So at some point we're gonna hit the inevitable. We're gonna hit the mid-season and MLB lull in sports cards. People are gonna not care if you hit 20 home runs. The cards aren't gonna go up. Right. We're gonna hit that lull soon, and at some point, Ohtani's gonna go 10, 12 games without a home run, and his cards are inevitably gonna cool. So I think right now it's a sell right now. But overall, yeah, like I think everybody agrees he's a buy.
Cool. Yeah, I have a Topps Chrome Auto. I know there's a few variations, but and I can't remember which variation this is, but I bought it early in the season and got it for like $500. It's a base auto, and I think it's going for like $1,500 right now. Damn. So it's definitely tempting to just kind of flip and then invest that $1,500 into something else. But I think that's going to be my play.
I think that's like a smart move. Yeah,
like you guys in the off season, if Shohei goes down a certain amount, I just believe in the talent as well.
Is there an off season though anymore? Like that's my question. There used to be. That was the great thing about baseball. Point. You know when to buy. Like now, there's really not. I think there was a glimpse in maybe it was early October, and it started really picking up in November. At least for baseball. Basketball was interesting after COVID. It was on steroids. Like it was the market was so hot going into the basketball season. It was nuts, right? And then it died down because I think part of it was the like Zion class versus this year's class, but the whole off-season market too as well, right? So
you know what? It's a really good point. Like even now, people are saying it's a good time to take advantage of football, but they've been seeing football card prices already jacked, and it's apparently, it's quote unquote the off season. So I guess you got to monitor. It's essentially you're monitoring almost week by week to see if there's any dips.
Right.
And you can't rely on traditional off season, but it's a really good point.
Yeah. Like, I mean, everybody is now arming themselves with knowledge, investors, people who are net collectors. And everybody knows, I mean, you'd have to be living under a rock to know that off-season is a low point. Mm-hmm. The month leading up to the season is a high. Like, that's when prices go crazy. It's become predictable to the point where I don't see that month leading up. I think it's going to start to blend because if everybody knows the 3 weeks before football season is like when the prices go crazy.
Right.
What's going to happen right now is 3 weeks before the season starts, you're going to see like 100 Mahomes PSA 10 optics show up on eBay. You're going to see, I don't know how many gazillion Justin Herbert 10s show up. Like the market is just going to be flooded with people that think that people are paying insane amount of prices. And I guarantee you it's not going to be like a hot like month leading up to football season because that's happening right now. People are trying to get ahead of that. That game there, right? So the predictability I think is going to come into play. So I don't think there's going to be that what people think is off season and leading up to the season. It's going to be sort of like a blend of the entire off season. That's kind of what you're saying because when it's too predictable and everybody knows the seasonality. You're just going to be flooded. The market's going to be flooded with cards and like what do you know?
Yeah, no, totally agree, man. I mean. You almost have to be 2-3 cycles ahead now. So
I know.
It's crazy. Okay. All right. We'll go to the NBA now. A couple players here. NBA playoffs are going on, right? Trae Young. Like, I love the guy. I have a PSA PSA 9 silver prism, and it's down like 60%. I'm hurting bad with that card. But I don't know. Like, it's so cheap. And so, for me, it's so tempting to buy. But at the same time, it's one of the things we talked about early on, right? Like, is it oversaturated, these prisms, even silver prisms, I wonder if that's the case. So, your thoughts on Trae Young cards in general?
Trae Young, I'm a buy, to be honest. I think his cards are way too cheap for what he's putting up. And, like I said, it's like you could extrapolate his talent and kind of see, what type of player he's becoming, and follow the comps for that, for that particular player, and you could see that based on today's prices, it's still cheap, way too cheap right? Especially, and the good thing with silver is the liquidity. It's like you have a lot of people in that game. That's a very highly demanded card as opposed to the base. So I like the silver definitely over the base just because, there's high liquidity, but there's also a limited amount, right? But yeah, like I don't think I think, like I said, I'm in on the numbered cards, like the rare trays. I would look into that. I haven't looking at prices lately, but I would assume that it's on sale, right? Remember, you don't lose unless you sell it. If you hold, hey, just weather the storm, enjoy the card, and enjoy the talent, right? And that's the beauty of it. That's why you have cards in the first place, is so that you can watch sports and watch them ball out and be happy, right? We get so shook by today's prices. So buy. Trae Young is a buy. A lot of basketball is a buy right now. Luka too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well. Is hold an option for us? Because for me, I think it's I think we're in a hold pattern. Trae, I think everybody agrees on the talent. I think he's going to probably win the playoff series, and his card's going to start to take a little bit of a bump. But Trae is in that same category right now where all basketball is down. Like I think Luka in ratio to what his card is normally worth is like a super buy low. Like I think Trae's down. Trae is in the same category as like Jason Tatum, budding superstar. His Jason Tatum is super cheap. So I think he's just a part of the overall basketball market.
Yeah.
And everything's in a holding pattern right now. But I mean, if we all sat and had the money, 100% I'd be going in on Luka, I'd be going in on Trae, I'd be going in on Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Like everything is cheap right now.
Tatum's a nice buy too, yeah.
Yeah, he is. But I put Trae and Tatum in the same category. I think they're both, like if you have it right now, it's a hold. If you got the money, it's probably a buy.
Yeah, and I'm gonna agree with you guys too. I love Trae. Like for me, I love the player. I love his swag. Like NBA, for me, NBA cards that I collect, it's all about the player and even his off the court presence. Like he's got it. He's got his social media popping and just the way he's playing the Knicks. Like it's amazing. And you compare like Trae to Luka. They came out in the same year, and Luka's Luka, right? But the discrepancy between Luka and Trae is so big, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. You know what I mean? I feel like,
is Luka overpriced or Trae underpriced?
Exactly, that's the question, right? But I think Trae's underpriced in this case, Yeah,
so, for sure.
Right.
So I'm looking at Trae, and it's a great time to buy those higher end cards because even those are down. Like if we're talking about PSA 10 silver prisms, I checked just today, and they sold at like between 3,000 to 4,000 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
One just sold for 1,500 the other day.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
That's a 60% buy.
60% off right now, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's a huge buy, right? Look at previous comps, for types of players, similar types of players, and what cards do over time. Obviously, given that Trae Young is still young, right? And that's the kind of like gamble you have, right? Is that balance of the hype, of what he's gonna do. But at the end of the day, it's a tall order. That's what we don't understand. We're like expecting Trae Young to just go out and have a Hall of Fame career, right? It's like we're even betting money that he does, right? Which is insane if you really think about it. It's like we're betting on somebody else's career, right? But I believe that's why, we're all in this game, is because we love the hobby because of that. We could hold something and cheer on kind of for whoever. Like I remember baseball got so much more fun after I got back into collecting because I'm every night looking at highlights. Every chance I get, I'm watching a Braves game because I could watch Acuna all day. I could watch Tatis all day. I don't care what else sports is on. I'm watching those players, right? Vladdy, even Chicago White Sox, up and coming teams. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, another young NBA star, Ja Morant. I mean, at the during this taping, looks like the Jazz are going to beat the Grizzlies, but I bring Ja Morant up because he's one of those guys that just haven't seen any kind of movement despite the things he's done on the court. So I don't know if there's just there are guys in the hobby, right, that just get no love. even if they're good players or not. I don't know
Right.
if you would put Ja in that category. He's a young guy. He's obviously got a huge career ahead of him, or we're assuming that. But yeah, what do you guys think of Ja Morant?
For me, I'm a huge Ja fan, so it might be a little biased here, but I think a lot of people. I remember during the preseason and the beginning of the season, he was going off. Like there was so much hype around him, and he was dropping 43 or whatever he did in the first few games, and he was averaging probably 30 plus at the beginning of the season, and people were like, holy crap, this guy's figured it out, right? And you got to remember, this is second year in, right? Like
Right.
numbers don't lie, and realistically, is Ja at like scoring 30 a night? Like he's not there yet, right? I think I think that along with his injuries, that injury he had really tanked his price. That was the beginning where there was no looking back after that. It went straight, his prices went straight down, right? So I think for it to see the potential it had to where prices have fallen to, I think he's a steal. I think more than anything right now, because I think he's learning a lot. He took a very below average Memphis team last couple of years to a playoff. That to me that's saying a lot about the future of kind of like the type of player Ja is, right? He wants to win. He comes from a smaller school that it was all about winning. He got no love, right?
Yeah.
And he's doing it at the highest level. So to me, I truly believe in his talent, like not saying more than like a Trae Young, but I see the hype around him because he is a kind of like, he does stuff that you're just like, what? Like trying to, dunk over people and stuff. Like crazy, man. That guy's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Hyung, you brought up the fact that he comes from a small school. He plays for the Grizzlies. Does that factor into your decision to invest in a guy when they play for like small market teams?
It used to.
Okay.
But then for me, it's like the hobby always proves me wrong. Like that's the thing. It's like every day it's something different. What yesterday's thoughts are just the past, and now markets move, markets change, right? So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, like it makes me hesitate, if I'm honest. Like Karl Anthony Towns is an example for me. Like the guy has talent, but I'm not investing anyone that plays for the Timberwolves. I don't care. Like
right.
It just seems like ever since Wiggins, like I monitor those prices, but the hobby gives them no love. Like even if they're talented star players, and maybe if they get traded to another team, I might reconsider. But I wonder if Ja Morant's like that for me. I sold early in the season. I had an NBA Hoops rookie card of Ja, and I sold. I shouldn't have, because it went up way up, and afterwards. But yeah, you're right. After the injury, it started to tank. Actually, I think he might be underrated right now. Like he scored like 40 plus in a playoff game. Like that shows me that he's still got talent. I love guys who can perform in the playoffs, like the guys who aren't nervous, you know what I mean, and love the spotlight. So that's one thing I do like about Ja. Like I think he's going to be a guy that wants to take his team to the top, and for that reason, I might, I'm not buying or selling, to tell you the truth. That might be a cop-out answer, but I'm just going to monitor his career.
Yeah.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, Clark, like the way you feel right now, that's exactly how everybody's feeling about the entire market right now, right? It's you're clearly seeing the low. You're clearly seeing, that's a buy. Trae's a buy. Jason Tatum's a buy. Ja's a buy. But everybody's still nervous. Everybody's nervous about that fifth dip, that sixth dip, that seventh dip. So it's just this big, huge holding pattern. I think everybody watched him at Murray State during the NCAA tournament. Like this guy put himself on the map in huge games, just having that it factor. Hyung's right, man. Like the injury derailed his value a bit. He came back. He was super inconsistent, dropping 25 one night, dropping 9 points another night. I think that really kind of derailed the momentum that he had. I don't know. I'm still in a holding pattern with everybody, right? Like it's the same answer for me. I think I'm a hold. Like I believe in Ja just as well. I actually personally like Ja over Trae Young. That's just me. But
do you? Wow.
Ja,
okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but Ja is in that same category of, budding superstar Jason Tatum, Trae, It's all a big holding pattern right now. Like I'm, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, last guy in our fast five. We should have called this slow five. We'll be a bit faster next time. But I want to bring this guy up because this is an interesting case. Deshaun Watson. I was all in on Deshaun Watson, and then there's a lot of bad press, bad news, and he's dealing with court stuff. And what do you do with guys like that? You know what I mean? Do you just stay away from that point, or this guy's like a top 5 quarterback in the league, you know what I mean? And he's looking for a team to play. And I guess the question is if he's going to play now. But yeah, I just want to get your thoughts. What do you do with a guy like that has issues off the field?
Yikes. Look, for me, it's like that's one thing when I invest in sports cards, I'm looking at it like I'm not looking at it for tomorrow, like I say. So for me, that's going to be an important factor, is the longevity of kind of someone's career, and are they going to be in trouble? Are they going to be even playing? Right? That's a realistic question, because all that stuff is important, because people don't understand. It's not like you go and show up and play sports and life is all fine and dandy. It's like there's it's a real life. It's a very, very tough life. There's issues that people deal with. There's the perfect example is Karl Anthony Towns. Like, he's gone through a lot of stressful situations in his life, right? So for me, it's like there's things that happen in people's lives that we have to think that it's realistic, right? So it's like not saying that that's somebody you stay off of, but that's something that I look for, is the longevity of someone's career, where I see them, because I like personally to invest in, I guess, the GOAT type players, right? The people that will leave an impact on the sports that they play. So for me, it is an important decision why I would invest in someone is the background has to pan out as well. Yeah, for sure.
Man, this definitely is a situation of doing your research. I think if you believe in the player, the player, you believe in the talent. Obviously, you got to mix that in with real life situations and whether the dude is actually going to play or not. But it's part what you believe and your confidence in your investment, and it's a part taking that risk. I mean, these are the types of risk that investors and collectors will take that can either boom or bust, right? These are the ones that make you that humongous profit where you're buying. I mean, I just happen to be following, I don't buy too many football cards, but I was watching like a Deshaun Watson, like Select Premier Silver PSA 10. I think it went for like $400. Like these are the types of moves that if you're a gambling person, you take that. Hey, you drop that $400. He comes and plays. Clark, like you said, this guy's a top 5 talent. And out of nowhere, he ends up playing a full season. He plays for a different team. He has a monstrous season, and that card is up. During the season, it's at $3,500. You just 9x'd it, right? So these are the types of, you got to believe in the player. And as a collector, you got to like the player. If you love watching him, that's a huge bonus too, right? So if you believe in the investment and you want to roll the dice, these are the perfect opportunities where it's the ultimate buy low to take that risk. Obviously, there's a huge risk in it, but depending on your gambling, your how much you want to gamble, this is where you take that risk.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. It seems like the ultimate risk reward gamble here. Something to consider, definitely, when we're investing in players like these.
Yep.
All right, we're done the Fast Five. So I think our last segment for today, and I was just playing off with our podcast name, Cards to the Moon. I'm calling this Ready for Launch. All right, so the question here is, which card do you see big upside? Which card are you doubling down on now? Ooh. Which card do you think is going to launch to the moon?
Tough. Either? Any sport?
Any card.
Any card, eh?
Dude, guys, I've said it from before though. I'm big on Karl Anthony Towns. I know a lot of people are not, but this guy is a legitimate top center power forward in the league. He plays for an awful team, and his card is beaten so low because nobody believes the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to do anything. They're going to get a high. They're going to get a high pick this year. They got Anthony Edwards. Like, you never know, man. These guys can make some noise, and
they get a high pick every year. Okay, so I don't know.
Yeah. But at the same time, you don't know what's going to happen overall, right? Just like exactly like Anthony Davis. This guy was on New Orleans. He was going nowhere. Out of nowhere, he goes to the Lakers, and his card is going to the moon, right? So, it's a bit of a gamble, but you're betting on the talent. Like, I believe in Karl Anthony Towns. He went through some tough moments that I think. Really, the only knock on Karl Anthony Towns is, number one, the team he's on, and number two, I think people, in terms of like his character, they kind of classified him as a prototypical millennial, a little bit spoiled, doesn't have the work ethic, he's a little bit childish, but the talent was there. And I think all of the unfortunate things, like, that happened to him, and like, rest in peace to his mom, like that, those are like insane life moments that happened to him, but those are the types of things that grow you up as a human being real quick.
Sure.
And I think for me, the questions of like, he's going to probably turn the corner and becoming a man real quick. So the one aspect of him being sort of like a child, I think that you put that to bed, and now we're just going to worry about him being on Minnesota Timberwolves. So I think for me, Karl Anthony Towns he's a huge sleeper. Like, his prism, I think, goes for like 200, 220.
Oh man. Okay.
And this is like a top NBA player, right? So
yeah.
I don't know, like, if these are the types of moves, man, if you want to get ahead of the game, get ahead of the curve, it could be a move, right? So
okay, I can see that.
I got a lot of Karl Anthony Towns, so I'll
Cat all the way.
No,
okay.
he's a good buy for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, one if it's one card, well, I'm bidding on an Ohtani tonight, so they're my money's gonna be there. But I like cheap high end Ohtani right now. I think there's a fluctuation of a lot of prices that are overpriced, like his Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome autos. Not that they're too overpriced. I think there's a lot of paper that's underpriced. I think there was Independence Day, a PSA 10, a Pop 1 Independence Day that closed at $2,500. Like, to me, that's just way too cheap. Like, to me, if you get it's a Pop 1, it's one of the nicest parallels and that Topps has ever made. It's the first year of the Independence parallel, which I think is the best year. And the card looks phenomenal. Probably one of the best looking cards, along with I'd say Juan Soto Independence Day as well. Right. But I'm buying a rare Ohtani in paper. I think they're underpriced, as well as I would say Luka. I think Luka is too cheap. I think before, any numbered Luka, even in select, was unaffordable, and now they're actually becoming affordable. And I like the numbers. Like I said, it's a supply and demand game. It's like, think if you had a numbered LeBron right now in 2003, you'd be pretty happy with that purchase. By no means am I comparing LeBron with Luka, because obviously LeBron has done his thing year after year, and Luka still has to do a lot of work. But just based on where prices were before, I just think that, like, Luka, now's your time to get a high end Luka if you're in the market for it, because once it gets into the five figures, it's like, okay, you're really going balls deep. So I think a nice a red select Luka, I think is pretty nicely priced. I think it's like 3K, just over 3K. I even like the red ice, to be honest, the Prism. I think Ruby. I think it's the Ruby Wave. I think those are underpriced based on the population count. I think there's like 250. I think they're selling at like 2,100. I think that's a really good buy too. So there's a couple that I'm thinking of, but I'm bidding on an Ohtani tonight. So by the time this airs, it's good. It's all good. It's the SSP Auto. It's out of 5,
good
so
luck,
I could
good
even
luck.
talk about it.
Damn.
Because by the time this podcast is over, it's not going to be for sale. So I have to win this.
You know what? Next episode, you can give us an update whether you won or not.
I'll
right?
see. Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. We'll see. All right. I'm going to go with, kind of in the same vein as you, Hyung, like with the market down like it is now, this is the best time to get GOAT cards. Like it's going to be obvious for people to say like, yeah, you should get a Luka or whatnot. But I just want to emphasize that if you're going to get a GOAT card, now is the time. Because once it goes back up,
I agree.
You're not going to have the cash, or not everyone's going to have 5 figures to spend on a piece of cardboard, you know? So my choices are like LeBron James, Topps Pristine, numbered to $9.99.
Oh,
I think
nice.
you know, BGS 9.5 just sold for like $1,300. That's insane.
That's insane.
A numbered LeBron rookie for going for that much. So I'm keeping an eye on a couple of those auctions and hoping to snag one. You know, even Mike Trout, like, guy's a generational player. He's injured now. I know he's injured because he's on my freaking fantasy team, and he's killing. Like he's just like my team's getting killed.
He was doing really well for you in the beginning of the season, though.
He was like he's you know he's money in the bank, right? So but Mike Trout, like if you're thinking of getting a card like a Topps update, you know, like a classic one like that, a PSA 10, or even PSA 9, like now is time to go in for those cards. Like I think once the market starts to heat up like we believe it's going to, like once it corrects itself and then demand stays high, I think a lot of our ready for launch segment picks will be maybe more up secure, you know what I mean? Like so, you know, for those listeners, I hope they're not thinking that, oh yeah, that's an obvious pick. But I just want to emphasize GOAT players right now is the way to go. You know? So
yeah, I agree, man. Dwayne Wade Chrome, I think, is like dipping below 1,500.
I love Dwayne Wade Chrome.
Tim Duncan Chrome is dipping below 1,200. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Great point. Great point.
All right, thanks guys for joining in our inaugural podcast episode. Yeah, we're hoping to publish every week, probably on a Wednesday. But yeah, if anyone is listening to this, if you have any questions or if you have any topics or issues related to the hobby that you want us to discuss or you had questions about, just feel free to DM us in any of our social media handles at 5Card Guys. It's probably the best way. We'd love to just, you know, talk about those hobby issues. Like it's going to be exciting, you know, just the ride that we're going on right now. And 100%. You know, we are part of this sports card group, and what's our motto? Buy. I think it's relevant. You know, that motto is relevant right now.
And hold.
And hold. Yeah, don't panic. Hold. Great lesson.
Yeah, just hold.
All right. At that, we'll talk to you guys later.
That was awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5Card Guys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at Trade You at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.